Welcome. Welcome back, Justin.
Hey, stranger, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Happy New Year.
Yeah, good to see you. I'm back to the grind for a day. I got my ZRS mug filled with coffee and ready to
Mm.
do a little stuff before we go into more of a holiday-ish weekend, right? Are you still
Yeah,
celebrating?
it's kind of a weird one, right? Like getting back
Mhm.
to work and then poof, weekend again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good holidays?
Great holidays. Yeah, I'm traveling in the hostess city of Savannah, Georgia, right now. So hanging out with some family down here, enjoying the just above freezing weather that occurred right around the first.
Nice. Yes, it was kind of cold right there. I went to the day before. I went to Atlanta Garden Lights, and I seem to choose our families and neighbors seem to choose the coldest day every single year to go.
I'm
It
sorry
was
to hear that. We went on a fairly warm day to the Garden Lights. So.
lovely, 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 lovely. Well, let's wrap up some of the stuff from 2025, shall we?
Why not? Yeah.
Let's
Why don't we do that? We're looking back so that we can look ahead here, I guess. That's
Yeah, I know a lot of folks did, a lot of different kinds of wrap ups, statistics. We kind of had one for our show, a little bit, sort of some of the key guests and key conversations and things like that. But we teased this last week. But we wanted to look at some of the major trends in the industry. So, not just our own stats or our own kind of wrap ups for our personal work, for our collective work on Multifamily Weekend Update, but some of the big things that happen across the board that affect all kinds of, owners, operators, innovators, like everybody. So let's pull that list. Let's pull that list up.
let's see what we got here. Then 12 trends.
12 trends. It's very
We have a
holiday-ish. We're still on, like, I keep my tree up till January 6th. I'm a hardcore Epiphany person.
I
So
don't like to put any decorations up until after Thanksgiving, at least outside of the house,
mhm.
and I will keep it up for at least a week or two after, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're in the days of Christmas, right? I don't know which day it is now, but over the sixth day, I think. So we're
Yep.
somewhere in, I don't know, I can't do the day math, but we put it.
We'll do math next week.
That's not on my goals for 2026. Uh,
AI. So AI grows up. That is a very big thing. I
mhm,
think the conversations around AI grew up. Lots of folks started trying AI,
mhm.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the conversations and the use cases, right? The specificity around it. I think that's sort of what we kind of notice, not just at conferences, but just sort of in conversations. But people building their own, AI agents, people using it in their companies and having different agendas with it. It varied. I think the main thing in the growth was that you need humans on one side or all sides or whatever to kind of be working, with it to get the most out of it.
yeah, yeah. I would say that there's been a lot more maturity around using AI to be customer facing. In this case, oftentimes renter facing. So the fact that we are seeing this more and more, used in the wild, right?
Yeah.
It's getting more sophisticated. Every day as AI, increases their capacity and their human-like behavior. We're able to see that demonstrated for our renters. So we're seeing things like conversations being had with AI where people don't know it's AI. And that's, I think, a good thing where we're able to kind of match that level of you know, customer service.
Yeah. I just have to call out because it's so blatantly obvious. I look like the freaking ghost of Christmas past. Like, I don't know what is going on with my light. I'm trying to
All
figure
about the
out what's
lighting,
going
my
on here.
friend.
I actually have a light here. I have a light that's not doing what it should be doing, but I look anyway. If anyone's worried, I'm not anemic. I actually been eating too much and everything's okay. All
That's
right.
funny.
Number two.
Centralization needs a script.
Yeah, so we're still talking about it. I think one of the things that was of note is that it's kind of like AI in the sense of everyone tried to centralize, everyone tried to 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 follow what was needed,
Yeah.
what the industry was moving to, but a lot of people put in centralization measures that didn't work, for lack of a better term. The
Yeah. And they had to get ripped out in some
yeah, it
cases.
was
Yeah.
like, let's centralize. And so they sort of did it, but they didn't actually put what that means for them in much detail. So that was a common lesson
And
learned across the
I,
board.
I think the challenge is ultimately it's hard to copy and paste a playbook for
Hmm.
centralization as well. So the learnings that one organization might have, whether they're enterprise level or midsize, is very much so might not work for you, sitting somewhere else. So even that the shared information doesn't always help, and that's why it's taken so long to truly centralize. you know, I think some things that we've talked about in the past is that real estate investment trusts or REITs have been primed for centralization because they started with technology so that centralization is easy for them. But when you don't start with that foundational technology layer, it's very difficult to take lots of manual processes and move them into a digital process that you can then centralize.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good call out. So number three, uh, no surprise that the word risk is on this list anywhere, or fraud, risk, fraud, and trust. Definitely a huge theme on everywhere in the industry. I think the biggest you know the trend is that obviously there's not one size solution, and there's not no one has completely solved it. So that's why these solutions continue to grow. That's why these conversations continue to grow, and it's a big deal. Like in the end, I think at the end of the year, right, being able to trust the the protection, the data, the information you have, so that you are doing things correctly and not liable for something is it was a huge piece that we saw in multiple kind of news stories.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, who's liable when something bad happens, right? Is it the vendor? Is it, the property management company? Is it the owner?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
all depends on who you're using
mhm.
and how a lot of legal documents are laid out ultimately. But at the end of the day, our industry wants to, we're never going to evaporate, fraud. It's never going to go away. And unfortunately, thanks to number one, right, AI growing up, that also means the bad actors have access to more tools
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
resources. So
Yeah.
it's just going to make it increasingly, the level upping is just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, the more the industry innovates, the more ways that people can be fraudulent, for sure. So
Mm.
it's kind of yeah, something we'll just be dealing with. Charts, you like a good chart.
Charts and graphs,
Charts and
baby.
graphs. They spoke. I mean, it was all about the data. That's really what we're talking about with this. Charts took the mic. Is data, obviously, what does that data mean, and being able to see that in a very easy to digest way. So
Yeah.
that really spoke a lot. People wanted to see the data. They wanted to see where that information was from. They wanted to know the source of the data in those charts. But that's how people were moving the needle, was by showing their work, their information, that kind of thing.
And if you are currently trying to build a business use case inside of your company, I would argue that thanks to AI, you can now unlock charts and graphs to demonstrate your use case thanks to things like AI.
Mhm.
You can take, I mean, if your company has implemented some level of internal AI, you could take data coming in, show it to the higher ups and say, hey, this is the trend. This is what's happening. What we're doing is matching what's happening in the industry. Therefore, we could do X, Y, and Z. So, both internally and externally, charts and graphs should continue to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Number five, deals still happened. Believe it or not, they happened. Despite what we kind of went into, maybe thinking the beginning of the year was, hey, we're going to thrive after we survive 2024. And then at some point at the top of the year, it was like, no, 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 we haven't reached that yet. We're still going to kind of tread water.
Yeah. Yeah. We ended up having, we ended up having rate cuts, which was helpful. But ultimately, I think there was still some movement because there were a lot of folks who, a lot of companies that just couldn't afford to keep their properties, and they had to offload some assets. Therefore, there were lots of deals getting cut.
Yeah, deals, and also, different kinds of mergers or acquisitions that also occurred as part of that. And I think, in the end, these were all incremental, but there was kind of a steady thing. It wasn't this great recession that maybe people were fearing. It was more of a very, very slow drip.
Hmm. All right. Well, PropTech got practical. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
I'll tell you what that means. Well, we've seen this actually once before. We saw in maybe COVID years or coming out of COVID, whereas prop tech as the nice to have things for resident experience, for seamless operations, for all of those buzzwords took a backseat to just kind of the essential. I think with the slow deals, the economy the way it was and is, prop tech sort of kind of fell into a similar spot as budgets started getting tighter. Um, then prop tech kind of got, okay, what are we really going to use it for? What do we really need? So it was using prop tech to solve really specific problems. And a lot of them around, if you're, charting the industry and a lot of these conversations, a lot of them around maintenance, which is, I mean, I can't tell you how many posts I've seen or sessions I've seen where people are like, maintenance is what people care about, what the residents care about. Like, that's the way to solve a thing. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about. So it's like, that's sort of where prop tech focus became more heavily than maybe in the last few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. I mean, we're not talking about future predictions yet, but I agree. I think prop tech ultimately is now at a point where, anything that's a manual process is ultimately going to be, getting some digitization as a part of it. Maintenance has a lot of physical make ready boards, for example, right? You got the big whiteboard and you mark on it X, Y, and Z. But the problem is if you're a larger organization or you have a lot of properties, that doesn't work. That doesn't function very well if you have maintenance teams bouncing around properties or you've got one property manager trying to, support another property. The regionals are probably scratching their heads going like, how do we make this? How do we solve this problem? We keep getting to a point where we're trying to prevent issues, but we can't even get there because we keep having repeat issues over and over, having to like deal with the emergencies, right? That's where PropTech comes in to solve it, right? It starts listening, digesting, and allowing you as a human to take those insights and go, hey, we should stop repairing these toilets and just rip them out and replace them because yes, it's a capital expense, but over time it will be way more practical than
Yeah.
fixing these leaky toilets every 6 months.
No, that's it. That's it. That is it. That's probably a trend that's, like you're saying, not going to go away. We're going to for sure see that this year and beyond. Another one that probably is not going to go away either is the number 7, what we're calling community experience got real. This is in the vein, I don't know. Lots of folks have talked about it. Lisa Trojan has spoke about this in some of her sessions on, what residents want, but it speaks to the generation of our renter base in the industry, which is aging. It's not as young as it maybe was before, but these particular generations that are renting are tired of the curated experience. They grew up with social media in a way that my generation, your generation, Eric, we did not. So they're wanting to see the real thing. They're wanting to not see a lot of fluff. They're not wanting to see staged stuff. They want to see the real thing. And so the community experience got real. These are trends and kind of pieces that talk about this and relate to kind of giving residents real experiences, in real life experiences, ways that residents are connecting or building that community, ways that staff is creating a real connection with a potential renter with their current resident. So that's sort of something that has been kind of all over the place this last year.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that unlock a lot of things. I think once you can get to that point where, community directors are able to have carte blanche and do
Hmm.
that, I've seen a lot of work done with everything from like, art. We've had art shows. You've seen
Hmm.
things like that. You've seen like doggy meetups, right, where everyone has a dog, does like a little pet meetup. But there's just tons of other things that are occurring in and around, that property.
Yeah, and it's interesting because right, we're moving more digital, more virtual in so many ways. But that piece is probably because of that. That piece becomes even more important to have those experiences, and that's a part of what you need to offer in a community.
Which rolls into 8 here.
Let's do.
Events become content engines. Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you could probably riff on this for a minute just from your own experiences at conferences, events, things. But again, whatever it is, whether you're doing a resident event on site, that's what you want to show, right? That's the thing that you want to show. Like somebody wrote about it not that long ago, but basically, if you're going to show your amenity, if you're going to show that you have a great grill, show people using it. Show an event that happens there. Like make that video
Show
something
the
to see it.
vibe.
Show the
That's right.
vibe.
People don't want to just see, yeah, you don't want to see blank stock photography. Show the
Yeah,
vibe of the property. I mean, yeah, you might turn away some people that don't want to live in a place like that. That's
sure.
okay. Because
Yeah,
those people would end up complaining and not wanting to live there anyway after a year. So they're gonna churn. So why not get in the person who understands the vibe, right? The culture of your property.
right.
So yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
the
why
same
not
things.
take capture
Yeah,
that content?
the same
Yeah.
thing's true with events for companies, right? People's user conferences, their sales kickoffs, the GKO, like all of that stuff becomes things that now can provide content, and so that can be used strategically to like build your brand, to help with recruiting when people are checking out a company and they're able to explore things and say, oh, I can see what the culture is because I just watched 2 minutes of the CEO talking to me. So there's a lot of things you can do in that regard, and industry events as well, which we've been to a lot last year, and people showing again the vibe, showing those conversations helps people make those decisions later on. Which companies that didn't attend or didn't sponsor or didn't register maybe will do so because of some of that content.
Yeah.
And
Well,
number
how about
nine,
some
we're
careers?
we're how about some number nine, career state in motion. This one's stayed in motion. I like that phrasing because it's like kind of contradictory, right? Stayed in motion. Um, I think this was to describe how the discussion around careers, the discussion around how to hire, the discussion around you know onboarding, the discussion around layoffs, the discussion around all of it became way more um, in motion, became way more something that people talk about. I think the last couple years, you've seen way more transparency around people's job searches, way more transparency around hiring, and people are more willing to connect to say, hey, what's your experience like working at this company? I saw you work there 2 years ago. Hey, I need a mentor. I'm looking for a job like yours. Can we start a conversation? So there's a lot of activity. That's the motion in um, in careers, whether there's hirings, firings, recruiting, job changes, all that stuff.
Yeah. I think we will likely continue to see some of that, but my hope is that things settle down. In halfway into 2026, my assumption is that everyone will kind of figure out what the departments need to look like, and this is how many people we need, thanks to having AI, X, Y, and Z, and then from there you will see growth. That's my hope for a lot of these organizations. So hopefully the banners will go away, open to work, and folks can continue to get back into the right place.
Yeah. Number 10, advocacy got louder. So this is kind of is in par and parcel with what we're just talking about, but people having conversations about, equity in the workplace, equity in the industry, sharing stories of people that don't, get to share stories. I mean, there was a lot of that became a common theme, a little bit on this show, but also just lots of different people's discussions. So that, advocating for the industry, there's even like a lot more people talking about the impacts of government, that stepping into those roles. I think you're seeing younger people stepping up into these kind of positions and these advocacies and these leaders. So those were kind of some trends that we captured and talked about.
Yeah, I think the next generation is starting to come in swiftly, which is great. We're seeing lots of those folks come in, and hopefully we'll get them on the show here this coming year.
Yeah.
And if they would just answer my emails. Oh wait, I should be texting them. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, Grandpa. All
But
right.
yeah, I think yeah, but advocacy in general, right? I mean, I've been paid a lot of attention to, of course, advocacy for women speaking at the mic and getting up on stage, but also just seeing advocacy for some of the policies for landlords, for property owners. There's still some age old COVID restrictions that are still in place that are
Yeah.
starting to get undone. And I think a part of it is a combination of the federal government. The current administration is, ushering in the full year of ushering in new policies and making changes and setting, precedent in a lot of cases. But also, we're still seeing the Department of Justice, lay the hammer down on certain aspects and letting the industry know everything from, pricing to, competition with pricing. This is how it's going to be, right? You cannot hide your fees, and you will not be using, private, you will not allow private competitive data to be shared amongst competitors. So,
Yeah.
and this is happening at federal, state, local level.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Number 11, the PodSphere expanded. That's kind of self-explanatory. I don't know what else we need to say about it. I mean, we exist. This show, we
Yeah.
we really got a lot of traction last year, I would say. And continue to kind of build on that, and what this will shape, and how we can, share stories and get more people involved in these conversations. But across the board, you saw people starting, very, very specific niche content pods and discussions. So rather than, multifamily podcasts, you have, here's what I would do as a hiring person, and I'm going to continue that. Or you have a human focus where you're like, I want to uncover what the people are that power multifamily. Or, they've all started becoming a little more niche, or some of these newer podcasts.
Yeah. I think that little by little, our industry is getting lots of different perspectives, different voices, entering. Some of them have been there for decades, which is great. They're finally like stepping up into the podsphere, if you will, which is important. That passing and sharing of knowledge is important, but also, arguably some younger folks who haven't been in the industry that long, myself included. I have not been in multifamily for decades. I've been doing some real estate for, a little bit more on the marketing, go-to-market side, but it's having different perspectives and voices out there that expands our industry.
No, it does. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why, it was hindsight, but I think one of the reasons why our pairing works kind of well in some ways, is that we come at it with different experience. Some, and I learn from you in ways that things that I've been blindsided to see, because I've been maybe doing it maybe too long, but
No, Justin, not too long.
maybe, but anyway, humans, boundaries, belonging, our last number 12. Yeah, this is sort of, again, this kind of rolls into, we've touched on these in a lot of some of these other kind of trends, but the human element became way more kind of spoken about in our industry. And I think it's a reaction to AI and things moving in technology so hardcore. So
Yeah.
people leaning into, I want a human to help me do this. I need that human voice. I want to care about that human connection. But I think there's been more affinity groups, more possibilities for networking, ways of building, mentor mentee relationships. I mean, there's just been a kind of surge or kind of steady growth with this space of humanity, which is,
Yeah.
coming from the humanitarian study and not being a tech person, or you know like that's exciting for me in 2026. So
I do look forward to seeing more of these smaller events, with curated groups of people,
mm,
everything from vendors doing it to just property management companies, hosting events, not just when you have a lease up, but like, yeah, host an event for the
yeah,
industry. Let's get a bunch of folks together. At the end of the day, it's all kind of one big family here.
yeah.
The likelihood of someone working at a company for 20 years straight is not that likely anymore, right? That's how the industry has changed over the last few decades, is that people change jobs. They go to where the water's warmer, the grass
Hmm.
is greener. And ultimately, by continuing these human connections, we'll grow at a faster rate and be happier, hopefully, in our daily jobs and over the years.
Yeah. So there's been a little bit of news in the last few weeks over the holidays. Um, More than this, but these are a couple of highlights. We'll kind of run through them quickly here. I'll take the first couple here. Peak and Lively announced a partnership today, which they're now kind of promising a more streamlined digital touring solution, which is exciting. So congrats on that partnership. Um, Oakline, which is a newer company. It's only about 3 years old. It was recently, I think it was recently founded. I'm trying to remember the company's name, by investment firm. They just acquired Drucker and Falk, which is about 43,000 units in that acquisition. So those are some big kind of bullet point pieces here. Eric, what about Maintenance Legends? Tell us about it.
What about maintenance legends? This is something that I believe HD Supply is
Hmm.
still sponsoring.
They do.
This is a part of NAA, and they announced the 2025 Maintenance Legends last year in June.
Mhm.
But I believe it's coming up again
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah. So you can nominate to put people on the leaderboard each month. So January nominations just opened. They'll close, and then you can vote for your January ones. But yeah, they win each month, and then from that group, they can then go on and celebrate and be nominated or be chosen to go to at departmentalize, be recognized.
Yeah, we should. I don't have a link right now. I couldn't find one, but
Yeah,
we'll go
it's
ahead
okay.
and pop that one in at a
Sounds good.
later date. And then this guy Jay Parsons, who sometimes has a crystal ball,
Yeah.
went ahead and he actually looked back at his last year predictions
Mhm.
and kind of dug through them, and for he was right for a significant amount of those predictions, but Jay has a new round of predictions.
Yes, yes. So check the rent roll, right? That's the name.
Yep, yep, yep.
Check the rent roll out. There's I think that episode dropped today. Um Eric, you're typing. Are you gonna drop something in, or
I'm,
can we move
just,
on?
I'm looking. I was going to see if I can get an exact link for this episode, for the predictions episode.
Okay. If you can,
Um,
I'll hover here for a second.
it did. Yeah, we'll hover for a real quick second. Oh my gosh. I gotta go to YouTube to snag this guy. Oh yeah, sure. I'll subscribe to you. Why not? Why not,
This is
Jay?
fascinating.
I'll subscribe to you, Jay. Will this pop? Here we go. Yeah, 15 predictions for apartments and SFR. Okay, yeah. So let me pop. right about, let's see, Jay Parsons predictions for 2026. I'll throw this on a QR code here for you.
I predicted Eric would do this. Why he
Do
was
it. Do a
typing.
last minute thing? No, never.
I got to do one. 2206. 2206.
Oh Jesus! He's so far in advance, my friend.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I love it. Well,
everyone will take their 1x1 unit on a spaceship.
Both QR codes work. That's how you get there.
Yes.
And I don't have any predictions other than how many times Eric might do something like that in a year, but I will be thinking of my predictions. But we want to get your predictions.
Yeah.
Right, Eric?
That's right. We want to know your predictions for 2026 in multifamily. So please either comment on this post wherever you see it, or I'm going to go ahead and drop in our QR code right here. It goes to a Google form. You could throw in your prediction. If you want it to be anonymous, just let us know. But,
at the end of the month, probably one of the last Fridays in January, we will be putting this together, highlighting some of the most interesting predictions for 2026. So we'd love to include yours. If you've posted about it and we haven't seen it, send us a note here as well. You could even just drop your prediction post URL into the form, and we can check it out there. We don't have any other. I don't have any predictions. I am thinking of a word of the year. I've narrowed it down to 3, so I'm going to have my word of the year for next week. But other than that, I think we can go enjoy the rest of Eric. You enjoy your time in Savannah. I'll be doing a few other holiday-ish things this weekend. A little bit of work, but it's a good start to 2026.
This is true, Justin. Well, good to see you. Happy you're alive and well.
Likewise.
Let's kick it off with our moment of wonder.
Let's do it.